Eric Wowo arrived in Lafayette, Louisiana in 2006 through a refugee resettlement program administered by the U.S. government and the Catholic Diocese of Lafayette, Louisiana. A refugee from the Civil War in Liberia who, after being beaten, tortured, and left to die, escaped to exile by the grace of God and spent 14 years living in over a dozen refugee camps in West Africa. Here he became a Christian in one of these refugee camps in Guinea Republic. He was given a computer set in the refugee camp in Nigeria and was taught by another refugee, and then he began to teach others in the camp. After coming to America, Eric asked for help and support from the residents of his new home in Lafayette, Louisiana, and other Americans around the country to bring hope and opportunity to an impoverished people in Liberia. Where he came from and what he has done is absolutely mind-boggling. In the 9 years since coming to the United States, Eric and Change Agent Network has built 14 schools in Liberia and started construction on the Can University. Several times a year, Eric ships old computer parts, copiers, desks, and other goods that America regards as nothing but trash to Liberia. Eric says yesterday's trash is tomorrow's treasure for us. Eric said, "All I want from the American people is the baseline of education, food, water, and other human needs for the impoverished children of Liberia. I'm not asking for the American dream." Eric's mission in Liberia is to eradicate poverty through education. His vision is to develop and nourish like-minded individuals committed to creating positive change around the world. As the deadly Ebola virus killed thousands in Liberia and West Africa, Change Agent Network switched gears and sent medical supplies, food, and other goods to Liberia. The humanitarian efforts of Eric and Change Agent Network caught the attention of Liberian Ambassador to the U.S., Jeremiah Salunte. The ambassador visited Lafayette and the Change Agent Network Banquet to express his country's appreciation to Lafayette and Can for their humanitarian efforts in Liberia.
Lord, that you have brought Eric to this country, and then you have used him and grown him and blessed him and poured your love into him and your resources. Thank you for what you're doing in Liberia. Thank you for Change Agent Network and the way it is changing lives and changing the entire culture. Lord, we pray that you would continue to bless it, to use it, to multiply the work.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Come on in. We want you to have an open heart, an open mind at this time in order for us to know and feel and reflect. I want to bring the young man who is responsible for bringing so many people from different walks of life together. He's a very busy man. As you can see, he's walking around. Eric, would you please come here and enlighten our guests?
Can you guys hear me? Yes. Can everybody hear me right? Yes. Are we ready for the party tonight? Yes. I'm ready to go home. I'm tired. Well, what a wonderful night it's been. Put your hands together for Jesus tonight, please. I just want to thank all of you. I mean, this is, oh, wait a minute. I didn't do any of these things, no. I didn't do this. I'm just humbled to be here tonight to stand before you and just share a little bit about the most important things to you, to me, to all of us in this room. I want to welcome you in a special way. Those of you who drove from DC, from Maryland, those of you from Florida, those of you from Missouri, from Houston, Texas, from Mississippi, some of you from outside the country that just came to be a part of this celebration tonight. We have gathered here tonight to celebrate the world changers of our time, just from here, right here, Lafayette, Louisiana. Tonight we are here to share stories about what God has been doing, about what He's done for us, what He's still doing for us, and what He's going to do for us. And not just for us, but also for our neighbors. Next door neighbors and our global neighbors. I left Liberia without a passport, without an ID, without an address, without a phone number, no Twitter account, no Facebook, no Instagram. Who gave me one computer? There was no school. You couldn't drain me in a refugee camp, the wrong place to have a drain. No school, no water, no health care, no education, no housing, no nothing. And I met this guy, he said, what do you guys do in the refugee camp? I said, we just sit around, we don't do anything. 10 years, 15 years, waiting for the day we're gonna die. And he said, what do you want to do? And I said, I would love to learn how to use the computer. And he bought me my first computer. And I learned how to use that computer for 2 weeks. And one morning I got it. I was the richest man in that camp because I was like Donald Trump. You know, Trump got a lot of money. I was the richest man for my standard. I had a generator and I had a computer. I'm the richest guy in the camp, the big dog in the camp. I was the big dog. So guess what? Learn how to use that computer. And one morning I got it. I'm like, you know what, Eric? To whom much is given, much is what? Required. By my standard, I'm the richest man. What am I going to do with this? And the scriptures talks about how blessed we've been so that we can be a blessing to somebody else. So I look at myself, I've been a millionaire in a refugee camp. Therefore, I decided to use that one computer, that was all I had, to start training other refugees how to use that one computer. That's never been safe to change the world. That we're going to leave Africa, August 28, 2006, to be brought to America. Well, we have no clue which part of America we go. What do the people do over there? Who are these people? So you're going to go to America. Well, you can understand, look at my humble beginning, what that meant. We heard about America, wonderful things happening in America, but we don't know who these American people are. But that's where we're going to go. Moreover, we don't even know our destination in America. Are these people going to be nice to you? Are they going to be mean? What if something wrong happens? How are you going to get back to Africa? A lot of questions, but no answer. But then, I didn't know my faith life was at work. I knew God had everything under control. So I said, we're going to go. So we got on the plane. Found a destination, LA. LA to me, I thought that was Los Angeles. Not like, well, thank God we didn't go to LA. We were brought to life here, so you guys can put your hands together for yourself. So we arrived here, and we got here, then she was 2 years old, like she said. The Catholic Diocese of Lafayette worked closely with the United States government in getting us to this town, Lafayette. When we arrived, it was completely shocking. A huge transition under 24 hours. The world literally flipped over, like kind of changed. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to react in the new environment that we found ourselves in. UPA, University Police Department, was where we were placed the first time we arrived into Lafayette. That's 9 years ago today. And the moment I saw all the American people, I started to check them out in the streets, in the neighborhood, and then I said, these people are so much at peace. There's so much hope here in America that nobody's begging in the street for anything. Everybody drives a car, Everybody go to church, you get to drink coffee in the lobby, you know, you get to go to McDonald's, you know, you get to go to Walmart and shopping. And then I said to myself, Eric, out of all of the refugees around the world, you were picked to be brought here. What are you going to do with that? Just like the first computer. I started hearing about the American dream. And I realized the American dream wasn't for guys like us, because it's hard to meet up with the American dream. The American dream is about the excess. It's about the extra, not the baseline. And all I want, my dream, is the baseline of things of life. Water, baseline. Food, baseline. Education, baseline. And I said, I gotta go back to where we came from, because we got the greatest work to do over there. And then I started begging all of you in this room to help me go back. Today, I'm glad to announce to you, it's been 9 years today, and we have built 14 schools. We have also shipped 10 18-wheelers of medical supplies, educational supplies, raised $1.7 million in the last 9 years. Some of you in this room have been to Africa, but this is the deal. This has not been easy. It came with a price, a huge price. In this country, let me tell what's going on here. Everything in America has hope. The people have hope. All of you have hope. Not just you, but even the pets in our homes have hope. Here in America, we have animal hospital. We have an adoption program for pets. We have a supermarket where we go shopping for them. And when I saw that, I said, Eric, you have no more excuse not to go back to Liberia with the hope that you just found. It was hard on my daughter because I don't get to see her. I see her maybe once a year. But that's the price that we have to pay. So tonight I brought her up here for 1 minute to tell you guys what she thinks about everything that's been going on. Faith?
I think that y'all have done an amazing job by helping the people in Liberia. I'm here to thank y'all on behalf of all the Liberians to say thank you, Acadiana, for helping us during our darkest days and our hardest times. It hasn't been easy, but we got through it, and we got through it together. When I went to school one day, my teacher had called me up to her desk and she said, Faith, I was watching the news and I seen your daddy on TV. I said, what was his name? She said, Eric Woe. I said, oh yeah, that's my daddy. She said, that's an amazing thing that he's doing for all those people. I said, I know, I can relate. And she said, tell them that I said thank you for helping all those Liberians, and I said I will.
Thank you.
This is from Steffi Henry, Luke's mom. As a parent, we can teach our children through our words and actions to be giving, humble, and unselfish. But sometimes there are just God-ordained people and moments that can prompt these gifts in our children that has nothing to do with you. Mr. Eric and our precious school, WCA, are truly God-ordained and demonstrate the heart of Jesus in such a way my young son Luke can admire and, most important, model. Love you, Mr. Eric, and thank you for your beautiful example. Steffi Henry.
Oh, a change. Jesus, make a change. Come on, everybody. Make a change. Make a change. Make a change. Jesus, make a change. God, make a change. Take a change. Jesus, make a change. Take a change. God, make a change.
Period of time. And I have to tell you just one story about this young girl. Her name was Betty. I always remember that. She came with her 3 younger sisters as well, so all 4 girls in the family, all of them stuttered. And I sat there and I worked with them for a short period of time, and Betty was the last one. And when she came up, I said, well, what is your name? And she said, and after about 30 seconds, she looked at me and said, Betty. She couldn't even get those words out. And I thought, wow, in this short time, there's not going to be any hope for her. So I gave her a few things to do. And of course, the next day, her and her sisters are back again. And, you know, I thought some of the sisters might be able to make some improvement, but Betty, I just didn't think that anything could be done because she was so severe. And she comes back after her sisters are there, and I said, how are you today, Betty? And she says, fine. I was like, oh my goodness. I said, did you practice last night? And she said, yes. And I said, how long did you practice last night? And she said, all night. And I believe it, by the way, no electricity, probably to candlelight. She practiced all night, and that girl just touched my heart. And once again, the story of hope, which is what we provide. So that happens, and I come back to University of Louisiana, Lafayette, and I tell my students about it in the speech pathology department. And the head of the student organization at that time was Katie Linkart, who's with me today. And she took it to the rest of the students, and she said, we'd like to do something. And they started to raise little funds, like just little bake sales and things like that. And what they took it upon to do was students helping other students, and they raised enough money to send somebody from the school in Johnsonville to college. They raised money, and they sent a student to college.
As we were flying over the Atlantic, Heather and I had serious second thoughts. We said, we really don't know this Eric very well. We just met him a few months ago, and he left to go to Liberia. We don't know Liberia. Everything we had read about it scared us to death. Is he for real? Can he be trusted? Will we be okay? Eric still didn't believe we were coming until we called him from the Brussels airport and said, we're halfway there, we'll see you tomorrow. And there was definitely a note of panic in his voice. But he did show up at the airport, late of course, and he had a place for us to stay, and he had a car for us to use. In 2010, Liberia was still very devastated by the Civil War. There were bombed out buildings everywhere. The infrastructure was completely gone. People were living in shells of houses. Quite frankly, it was a sobering and a little bit frightening place. But the next morning, we got in the vehicle and we drove out to Heart of Grace Schools, just outside of Monrovia, and we found something completely different.